Challenging too many blind spots. I've drove one.
He's gonna win.
Has he ever drove a Challenger?
Alright, the factoring that we're looking at today is just a lot of special cases. Just giving you the blank forms, the generic patterns to use on that right now. That's difference of squares. Then we've got perfect square trinomials.
Perfect square.
Yep, perfect square trinomials, and then the last two are sum and difference of cubes. The sum of cubes first. And then here's x cubed plus y cubed. That sum and difference of cubes are probably the ones that are the hardest to remember, so those patterns down. Everybody done at least with the top one? Those are all the forms that we're going to use.
Day.
Which one?
Day.
Yep.
All that in one day.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Not good.
Yeah.
Is that extra amount of fun?
Yes.
You know what day it is?
What day is it?
Drop day.
That's funny.
Yeah. But it's not. Yes, drop day. Been a month late.
I got it. Not stupid.
I didn't get that one, but I got it. Okay, that is a little different. But just a little bit more complicated. Boom! Hand on the stove.
Alright, everybody got what you need off that? Okay, no problem. Looks like a bunch of chicken scratch up there when you just glance at it. What's up, Molly P? Where's the rest of it? Oh, that brother of yours. He said it's in the vegan.
Okay, I'll look here. Alright, I'll do it right.
Okay, no.
That's right.
Hey.
I said we need to do board races or something like that.
No.
Man, but nobody'd be able to compete with you.
That's true.
You beat everybody.
That's true.
Except me.
That's why I was to do it.
Yeah.
I like to be a winner. I like to win.
Like Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till I have Brady today. He's going to be flying high.
Oh, yeah. It would not go down.
I mean, is he wearing his Trump socks again today? That's what I was worried about.
No.
Are you talking about Brady?
Yeah.
No, he
I
won't
saw
wear
him
them 2 days in a
yesterday.
row. That
Yeah,
would
well, that's what I was worried about.
Heck, I would put him in the washer and wash him. Not them one.
He can't. Like, you would have to make Dad do it.
He doesn't know how to wash his clothes.
No.
That's too complicated for Brady.
He needs to learn.
Whenever,
Shelby, you should. Do
no.
you know how?
I mean, yeah.
Oh.
No, listen. Listen, one time, Mom told him to clean the counter. he went and got a tissue, like a Kleenex, and started wiping the camera off. And Mom was like, no.
If I didn't know how to wash
He was
my
like,
clothes, I wouldn't have
here you
clothes.
go.
I gotta wash my own clothes since I was like 6 years old.
I don't know how to work it, but I'm like, oh, mom would do wash my clothes.
See, I
I
know
mean, my
how to
mom
work
will wash mine,
it.
but I can't ask
I
her to
only
wash
dry
it. She'll
clothes.
be like,
If I
no.
don't mix the colors up.
Alright,
It don't
we
matter.
got x squared minus 16. What we're going to do, we're going to go through a couple of examples of all the forms that you copied down, and then we're going to just look at all putting it all together. So this is a difference of squares. Two reasons, well actually 3 reasons that I know I'm going to be using difference of squares. Number 1, there's a minus sign. Difference, subtract. Number 2, it's a binomial. Number 3, both parts of the binomial are perfect squares. X squared is x times x, and 16 is 4 times 4. So it meets all 3 checkpoints for difference of squares. So I just break down into square roots. Remember, difference of squares had 2 parentheses. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 16 is 4. One of them gets a plus sign, one of them gets a minus sign. Okay? When you FOIL that, that ends up making those 4x's in the middle cancel out, because on the outer you would have a negative 4x, and on the inner you would have a positive 4x, so those cancel out. That's why you can't ever have sum of squares like I said on the bell ringer, because if this was a plus sign here, you'd have to have both pluses and they wouldn't cancel out. Right?
Correcto.
Correcto. Alright, so how would k squared minus 9 factor?
Hey, put
K
a
plus 3, K minus.
Very good. I switched up what order I put the signs in that time. Does it matter?
No.
No way,
yes, it's
Jose.
not.
Alright, what about this one? 25x squared minus 4. Go ahead.
5x.
Good. Good job. Alright. Pretty easy difference of squares review. Everybody good on that?
Yes, ma'am. Is there ever going to be a time where there's a minus on both?
No.
Because then they won't cancel out. But
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a negative.
He's just asking. Give him a break. You'll like jump this case.
It's okay, it's okay.
He's used to it. Alright. Here I got k squared minus 6k plus 9. Now this one falls under the heading of the perfect square trinomial. Okay? It's 3 terms, so I know that. The last and the first term are both perfect squares. K squared is k times k, and 9 is 3 times 3. And if I take 3 and double it, that gets me 6. Remember on the form that you wrote down, it said 2xy for the middle?
Good.
Remember that? So I know this is going to factor as k minus 3 twice. Now what if I don't remember that? Because this is the one that I don't ever remember. Could I have gotten that same answer just doing my a times c stuff? Yeah, if we look at what we did yesterday, a times c is 9. What factors of 9 add to negative 6? Negative 3 and negative 3. So I would have k minus 3 times k minus 3. I did the 1 times 9 because it's a 1k squared. So 1 times 9. And then I need the factors of that add to the b, that add to negative 6. So it's got to multiply to make 9. Multiply to make 9 and add to make negative 6.
Why do we do this perfect square trinomial?
It's a shortcut that people that can memorize everything in the world can use.
So
But,
we still can do all of them.
right,
that way?
yes.
So like people like Donald Trump know how to do that way. That's bad.
I wonder how good of a student he was.
Probably very smart.
Fuck
Well, if
you.
he wasn't,
I feel like when he wanted to be, he probably was. Thank you, sweet pea.
Kind of like me. Maybe I'll be president one day.
yeah, no. We'll keep drinking.
I don't want to.
I would.
It would want the headache people.
I wouldn't want it.
I get assessed.
Try to come try it.
Me too.
Just let me get these schools up. Oh, they have about 2 weeks out of school for Monday.
It's not up to you.
It is okay. I'll make it up to me.
You can try to pass that law.
Yeah. I'll get some.
Pass that law.
I'll get all the comments.
Alright, this one says x squared plus 10x plus 25. Now, Using the shortcuts that we just wrote down, I look at x squared, and that's a perfect square because it's x times x. 25 is a perfect square because it's 5 times 5. Is it a perfect square trinomial? If I took the square root of 25 and doubled it, would it get me 10? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So I can just write this, since it's all plus signs, as x plus 5 to the second. Okay,
That's
no
it.
no
That's
biggie
it.
there. Or if I didn't remember that, this is a 1. So 1 times 25 is 25. What factors of 25 add to 10? 5 and 5. So we would get the same
X plus
answer.
5 is
Either one of those is acceptable. Y'all remember that these are the same, right? Squaring it means write it twice.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So on the answer choice, it would be x
Either
plus
one.
5 is squared.
Probably will have a squared on it if I had to guess.
So you can just, yeah.
But not all the time, Bull. Not all the
Most.
time. Just the majority.
Alright, let's do some cubes. Let's look at y cubed minus 64. Alright, if that had been y squared, it would be difference of squares. Right? Because y times y and 8 times 8. But it's y cubed. So looking on our list over there, I'm trying to figure out if both of those are perfect cubes. Y cubed would be y times y times y. What times itself 3 times makes 64? Anything?
6.
No.
Good deal.
Check 4.
That's what I,
Yeah.
4 times 16, 16 times 4.
Yep. So my pattern here, what y'all wrote down on the notes, it had x's and y's, so I'll go ahead and use that. That's going to be confusing because this x is going to be a y. Cube root of y cubed, cube root of 64. So now this is a minus sign, so I'm plugging those into this difference of cubes pattern. Well,
Yeah, I'm
you can-
confused about this one.
Yeah, I just used x and y because that's what you used. So what's the cube root of x cubed? X. What's the cube root of y cubed? Y. So cube root of y cubed, y, cube root of 64, 4. Okay?
I got you.
Alright, so it starts off with x, which in this, that's why it's confusing, it's because our x is a y. Starts off with x minus y in the first parentheses. Then the second one you got x squared plus, then you multiply them, x times y plus, then you square the last one, 4 squared. And that's it. That's your answer. A lot of times people will get to that trinomial and think it can factor farther, but it can't. If you did your a times c, 1 times 16, factors of 16 that add to 4, there aren't any. You got 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. None of that adds to 4. So after you do your cubes, it's done. And it looks like it's tempting to keep going, but it can't. Let's do another one of those that doesn't have a y and an x spot, so maybe you won't be as confused as much. Alright, I got 8x cubed plus 1. Alright, I know x cubed is a perfect cube because x times x times x. I know 1's a perfect cube because 1 times 1 times 1. What about 8? Is it a perfect cube?
Yes.
2 times 2 times 2, right? So I need to take the cube root of everything to get my x and my y. What's the cube root of 8? We just said it. 2. The cube root of x cubed? X. So everywhere on the pattern that you wrote down where it says x, I've got 2x to go in that spot, right? What's the cube root of 1? 1. So everywhere on that pattern where it says y, I've got a 1 to go in. Now this is a plus sign, so we're looking at the sum of cube patterns. It says x plus y, right? Then the second one says x squared. We got 2x, so if we take 2x and square that, that would be 4x squared because you have to square both parts. Everybody okay on that?
Together, correct.
Okay, and then minus, then we multiply them together, 2x times 1,
2x.
and then plus, we square y. So 1 squared is 1. That's it.
Board race time.
Let's do it.
Alright, I'm going to just mix some stuff all up together now. See how we do. 100 a squared minus 9b squared. Uh-oh.
Prime.
Not crime.
Oh, okay, so.
Nice try though.
I thought she was gonna trick us.
No solution.
10a, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And y equals 3b.
Okay, good. Katie's looking at perfect squares in that. 100a squared would be 10a times 10a. 9b squared would be 3b times 3b. It's a minus sign, so that'd be difference of squares, wouldn't it? So I'm going to use those perfect squares that Katie had. Be 10a plus 3b and 10a minus 3b.
Woohoo! Right?
That's it.
No. Easy.
Oh, easier than most stuff.
I like difference of squares, they're pretty easy. Alright, check this one out though. K to the 4th minus 16.
K squared plus 4, K squared minus 4.
Okay, good. Like square root of both of those. So it's k squared plus 4 and k squared minus 4. Now, I'm going to tell you that that's not done.
Nah.
Okay, one of these two pieces can factor farther. Only one of them. Which one is it?
Plus.
The minus.
Good. Good, the minus, because that one is again both perfect squares, so that one's again difference of squares. Okay, so this k squared plus 4 will stay how it is,
What?
but then this one will be k plus 2, k minus 2. Remember, there's no such thing as sum of squares. We can't make that if we broke that down because the middles wouldn't cancel out. So that's it. Alright, let's throw in something from yesterday while we're at it.
Dirt.
K squared minus 6k minus 16.
Wait, what is that? What?
It's not one, it's what we did yesterday, just a normal factoring line. No, they're minus signs. What you were doing would work. Katie, you were just doing more work than you needed to, and two, you got your plus. You could still group that, but it just would take you longer.
I think that's what I was trying to get to.
Alright, looking at this, there's no GCF. This isn't one of our shortcuts from today, because if I took the square root of 16, 16 is 4. If I doubled that, it'd be 8. So it's not a perfect square one. So I'm just looking at a times c, which is negative 16. I need the factors of negative 16 that add to negative 6. -8 and +2. Now, since this is a 1k squared, I can just go straight to the factors and be done there. Some of us over here were doing it grouping. You could still group that. You just don't have to when your k squared is 1. It saves you a little bit of time. But you could still do the grouping on that if you wanted to. Alright, we're getting there. Almost done.
That's a wrap.
Almost.
I'm gonna talk it out.
Oh. Alright. Alright, that says 56k to the third minus 875. Now, this is going to get to the point where it's a perfect cube, but it is not now, because 56 is not a perfect cube. But there might be a GCF. So, see if you can find something that will go into both of them. Since 56 is smaller, it might be easier to start with some factors of 56. Yeah, 2 and 23, 7 and 8. I don't know of any more.
There we go.
What is it?
7.
Let's divide them both by 7. So that would give me 56 divided by 7 is 8. What's 875 divided by 7? 125. Alright, now in that parentheses, that's a minus sign and it's a k cubed, so is that a difference of cubes? Is 8 a perfect cube?
Yes.
Yes, so my x, the cube root of 8k cubed is 2k. What about my y? What's the cube root of 125? 5. So we got difference. So make sure you're using the difference formula. It says x plus y. No, it says minus, dumb butt. About messed y'all up. Difference starts with a minus sign. Then it's x squared, and remember you've got 2k as an x, so you've got to square both parts of it. So that'll be 4k squared plus xy is 2k times 5 is 10k, good job. And then plus y squared, 5 squared, 25. Now I got to remember to do one thing on this. We took 7 out of it, so I got to bring that down. So there would be your completed answer. Alright, where we're going with this, what we'll be looking at next is we've got a quadratic and we've got to factor it down to solve. Okay? So once you get factors, you can set them equal to 0 and solve. So that's where we'll be looking at mañana. Alright? Yep.
Manana means.
Mañana, tomorrow.
I'm doing it Monday. Manana, Monday. Is that Spanish or French?
Spanish. I don't know what